100 on that. Can you guys hear me okay? Let the music drop here in a moment. What's up, Derek? Good to see you. Well, hello. Welcome to another Sleuth Intuition Live. Today we are going to go over some updates. And yeah, they actually are updates. This is what you can expect today. We're going to play, say, about 2 clips that I've gathered of all the information that's broke since, I would say, since yesterday. So it looks like they do want Richard Allen in Carroll County for the hearings. They've already issued the transport order. And I have a nice article here that was actually, seems a little bit hidden. It was kind of hidden away. But we'll read that in its entirety. Hope everybody's doing okay. What's up, Bossy? Elias, how you doing? Hey, Jessica. Kimmy. Hi, Sandy. Heather, Persevere, Vanessa, Polly, Lisa. Hey, Shadow. How are you? Good to see you. Tentacles. Makes me think of like a squid or an octopus. What's up, Frank? Well, it looks like we're slowly filling in. Looks like the numbers are climbing. We'll give it another 5 minutes and then we'll get going. I think I'm just going to show these 2 news clips first. One is titled "Attorneys Selected to Represent Richard Allen." That's for people who aren't that up to date. So we'll go over that information. Then we're going to look at another one titled "Carroll County Prepares for Hearing into Delphi Murders Case." So from what I've gathered, they've requested everything to be in Carroll County and for Richard Allen to be present, I believe. Also, I believe that his attorneys made the same request. I think using resources as an argument. You know, he doesn't know anybody anywhere near where they're housing him. So. Tentacles. Oh, man. I think they do have the death penalty. I could have swore they did. That's why I put the little Grim Reaper on his shoulder. You guys like that? Let's take a look at that. Let me share that up here. Hey, what's up, Ruckus? We bring them motherfucking ruckus. Hey, Polly. Ooh, I don't know. We're gonna hear from some professionals about that. She's estimating if it is a death penalty case, like I don't know, like 7 million or something. It was something really ridiculous. Yeah, and the reason I picked these media clips is because they had some experts on. They're a little bit longer. They're like 4, 5, 6 minutes long. Hey, Sensei, branches off in different directions. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Tentacles, something that's reaching out, grabbing, connecting to something else. Little slimy suction cups. Eye for an eye. Ruckus says they do have the death penalty. The problem is they have only executed 5 people since 1976, the last one being in 2009. So they say they do, but really they have a death row. Yeah, so that was part of my little thumbnail today. Hey, Copper, that's interesting. Hey, Miss E. Oh, Frank. You still here, Frank, in the chat? Man, are you going to be up there at this hearing or what, man? I want to get you to I want to call you when you got some free time out there. Get some boots on the ground, man, because I'm going to go live about an hour after that hearing starts. I figure you're going to be up and around there. Rico isn't. I think Rico's more. Well, I guess anything really involving conspiracy, but I think it's more organized crime. Trafficking of drugs, people. Sally Hiller says each of those tentacles has pulled me in for almost 6 years. Yeah, I feel like I have those tentacles wrapped around my head. I can't breathe. God damn. Squid brain. Yeah, he is a weasel. I don't know, Jamie. I think they're smart enough to realize that they want to preserve justice, get him in front of that court, and give the family an opportunity to speak to him and look him in the eye. I think that's nobody's going to hurt him to ensure that that happens. And if they do hurt him, they're just hurting everybody else. Now, once he's found guilty, good luck, buddy. If he's found guilty. Yeah, it seems like some people die on death row. How long you been on death row? Oh, 20 years. Every time he's got to take a shit, dead man walking. Like, why you guys say that? I've been here for 20 years. Squid Games, tentacles. More like squid brains. Yeah, he didn't say web. I mean, I'm torn. Definitely not a bleeding heart, but I mean, I'm just torn. You know, I just feel like as humans, we still have a lot to figure out. And I think the death penalty falls somewhere, on the top of that list. We're very hypocritical creatures. Hey, blind squirrel. Good to see all you guys. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. Get him in court. Yeah. Well, shit. There was this one family. I showed it on one of my live streams. This guy was accused of, I guess, killing two brothers, and he had a huge family. He had like three other brothers, two other sisters, his mother, his father, like two aunts were just sitting in the courtroom. They were quiet. They didn't make one sound. And they were just all sitting so perfectly stiff and straight. But I thought it was strange because they're really close to the door, the door where they're going to transport him. And the second he got up to be transported, I mean, they just mobbed him. They only had two bailiffs in there. They couldn't handle it. They were getting pushed over, knocked over, two old chubby guys. The guy ran in his jumpsuit and his handcuffs into the back room. They chased him back there. Never seen anything like it. They chased him to the back holding area. But I did read this article a couple times this morning, and they seem like they're bracing for some kind of like big circus event. Like they're expecting it to be pure chaos. It's a little long-winded, but I think it's important. It's filled with new information and details and stuff that'll be helpful and get us ready for what we're going to expect on the 22nd. Jamie says, I think I'm going to go to the hearing if I can get in. Our town has been living in this nightmare for years. Everyone just wants justice for our sweet girls. Yeah, I think they just want that closure. They can't have closure when people are withholding information. And I don't think they mean to withhold information. I think it's just part of some kind of strategy. So far, I think it's been a success. The experts say it's not going to hurt the case. He's got his attorneys. His attorneys are doing everything that as expected. Yeah, that's funny. Unsealing will be highly redacted if they unseal it. Well, it sounds like they might not. I mean, it's not like it's going to have like the cause of death and all that stuff. It's just going to have like a few details about it. I mean, cause of death, but it's not going to have like all the details and like all of this. It's not going to have everything in there. That'll all come out in court throughout those proceedings for sure, though. Yeah, it's a good question. That question from the Rockaways, Jamie Walker, can you speak to what the people of Delphi feel towards the police force? I've heard mixed, opinions, but overall, it sounds like they support them. I know the family does. Well, I know Libby's family does. I haven't heard too much from the other side recently, so I wouldn't know. And I know Carrie's on the fence. Libby's mom. Derek Farmer in the house. Shout out to Derek. Yeah, Sophia, I think they're in this article. Then let's just get to it. Let me just play some of these real quick, and we'll let it speak for itself. Yeah, that was a great report by Fox 59. I want to thank them for that. Hey, shout out to what's this guy's name? Derek Farmer. Thanks, Derek. You the bomb. The audiobook emails I sent you. No. Did you see the audiobook emails I sent you? No, I didn't get those. When did you send them? Well, I can't read or write, so audiobooks are right up my alley. Hey, crybaby. Two little girls that were murdered years ago. The cousins makes me think Alan was involved. I don't know. We'll make that. I guess we'll be able to make more of an educated guess or assumption once we kind of hear his involvement in the Delphi case. I'm really curious just to know what they found in his little shed. Like, oh, thank you, Renee. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys who show your support by donating like that. I really appreciate it. My wife actually just updated the our little merch shop that we have, and I sent her some designs. She hooked it all up. So if you guys want to support the channel, we don't get a lot back for all that. It's more just kind of cool knowing that you guys are buying the merch. We do get a little bit off the top, and you guys get something in return. So you have that option as well. So if you haven't been to that shop in a while, I think as of like right now, it's been updated. What's up, Micah? Okay, so she's saying it could cost up to $700,000 for the taxpayers of Indiana. Gee, that's ridiculous. I'm not a lawyer, but play one on TV. What's up, Grizz? Hey, Sophia, Rain Dancer. Hey, D. Hey, what's up, Microwave? Good to see you, buddy. Haven't seen you in a minute. Let's see. All right. I think I'm pretty much caught up on the chat. Let's keep it moving. All right. Let me go directly into this article right here. It's kind of long winded, but I think it'll be worth it. And if I'm not getting to your question, if you have a question directly for me, just put like question in capitals and then give me the question. I'll be able to see it better. Yeah, very expensive. Go. I don't use Dropbox. I used to when I made music, but I don't anymore. Hey, Kay. Yep, we're gonna read that right now, Teresita. You're 100%. So Richard Allen will be in court in Carroll County. Man, I hope they keep an eye on that dude. Need to treat him like a velociraptor. Clever girl. Crybaby says his wife never knew he was on that bridge taking a walk that day. I don't know, but I think if she did, I think she was just conflicted because it sounds like everybody knew that he came forward. And there's some weird 4chan post. I thought maybe they were confused by the other Richard, who was a child killer, released, known sex offender. His name was Richard as well, and he was a person of interest in the Delphi case. His name was Richard. But in this post, specifically on 4chan, he states, we all know that Richard was the person on the bridge. So the family could be conflicted, like, hey, we know that that's him on the bridge. We don't know why law enforcement's not coming forward and saying anything, but we know that my husband spoke to law enforcement and he's been cleared or whatever. So there could be all this maybe confusion and then your subconscious just not wanting you to believe, the human element. Yeah, I wonder how that all plays in. Because I mean, it still seems like maybe Kagan Klein. I mean, is that what the tentacles mean? Like, yeah, Kagan Klein. Somehow we were able to go ahead and make a connection there. So maybe Kagan Klein made gave testimony and said, "Hey, look, I think this is the guy. I don't know if I have any proof that this is the guy, but this could be the guy. I think it's the Richard Allen guy. I met him at a bar or whatever. We started exchanging information. So, and I heard that he threw this, and that in the water, and they go and check. Maybe they didn't find anything in the water, but they still have his witness testimony. Yep. All right, so let's jump into this little article here. Posted November 17th of this year. So that was yesterday, about 6 p.m. Eastern time by Russ McQuaid. You guys all know Russ McQuaid. Carroll County officials are meeting this week to determine how to handle the anticipated rush of media and onlookers who will throng to the county courthouse in downtown Delphi next Tuesday for the first public hearing in the case of a man accused of killing two girls near the Monon High Bridge along Deer Creek more than 5 years ago. Hey, Tom. Thank you. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you. Likewise, buddy. Richard Allen is currently housed at the Westville Correctional Facility under the control of Indiana Department of Correction and may attend the hearing in person now that he is represented by two court-appointed attorneys. Allen is charged with 2 counts of felony murder for the killing of 15-year-old Libby German and 14-year-old Abby Williams, who were hiking along the bridge, and it's passed during a day off from school, February 13th, 2017. All right. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, and there was this rumor out there, Crybaby, that yeah, the guy on the bridge, he's been interviewed. What I thought they were doing was trying to push this theory, right? That the theory is that yeah, Libby filmed a guy on the bridge, but he just happened to just be kind of passing by, maybe had a short interaction with the girls, went on about his business, and maybe didn't even live in the area, went on about his life and never even heard about the Delphi case. You know, I thought they were trying to push that narrative, but come to find out, they really did interview the guy on the bridge, but he wasn't cleared. They just, I don't know how to explain that. If you got people yelling for years that they interviewed this guy that's on the bridge and they never went back and checked on all of that information, come on. Of course they did. So they already had their eyes on this guy. They just didn't, they just didn't know how to tie him into things. I hope. I really hope. All right. Their bodies were discovered the next day nearby on the property of Ron Logan, who died this past winter of a COVID-19 infection. In March of 2017, FBI agents searched Logan's home and found no evidence implicating him in the murders, though he was later sent to prison to serve out 18 months of probation on a probation violation for a previous operating while intoxicated conviction. That came to light during the Delphi investigation when the farmer created a phony alibi to claim he was not in Delphi during the hours the girls were killed. Yeah, he was facing 18 months. That's what he ended up spending in there, but I think he was facing multiple years, a few years in prison. He had plenty of reason to lie. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing any connection to Ron Logan. Rest in peace to that man. He suffered quite a bit. And if it comes to fruition that he's involved, I mean, of course, he's already suffering his fate, but I don't think he is involved. Others involved or others connected, I don't know. It's just so strange. What's up, Tech Death? Good to see you, man. Jessica Bishop, hello. In my opinion, I would at least be able to recognize my husband's clothes. See, I think she did recognize him. I think she was just extremely confused by why they weren't clearing him, maybe. You'd be surprised by what people can just kind of shove deep in the back of their brain. When whatever's on the contrary is just unfathomable, Don't even want to consider something that bad. You just tuck it away, some dark corner of your brain. Curiosity killed the cat. Yeah, somehow I think the tentacles are between Kagan Klein and Richard Allen. So for some reason, not everything's going to be out there for web sleuths and everybody to see out on Facebook. There's some things that these guys will do behind the scenes. Polaroids and weird stuff, photography books, physical stuff that you can hold on to and hide. People can't snoop around. All right. Sources have told Fox 59 News that Allen voluntarily came forward in the early days of the investigation and admitted he was in the vicinity of the bridge that day. I mean, how smart was that? I better come forward before they find those girls, and then they won't need to ask me for my DNA. Prosecutor Nicholas McClelland successfully convinced Carroll Circuit Judge Benjamin Diner to seal the probable cause affidavit investigators relied on to arrest Allen a week after searching his Delphi home for evidence linking him to the murders and the crime scene. Yeah. I mean, him recusing himself, I don't know if that was part of the plan. Like, go ahead and get this ball rolling, recuse yourself, and then we can kind of transport him out of here until we can kind of get our wits about us. That document was sealed during Allen's non public initial hearing on October 28th, 2 days after his arrest at the Lafayette Post of the Indiana State Police. It would have to be for substantial cause, and it would have to be for a very limited duration, said Fisher City Judge Dan Hankey, a former prosecutor and defense attorney who has no connection to the case. He has a right to know the nature of the charges against him, and we saw that in the news clip we played. Citing the overwhelming demands the case made upon his court and fears for his own personal safety, Diner recused himself from the case and was replaced by Allen County Superior Judge Fran Gohl. So we know all about that. Oh, yeah. A source told Fox 59 News that Judge Gohl is inclined toward the release of the document, and Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter said he is not opposed to the release, that the probable cause stands on its own and the investigative quality will not be affected by its release. So, yeah, we might just get it fully redacted. It's not like we're talking about the full case details or the full case files. We're talking about a probable cause affidavit. The most significant detail that could be released would confirm the investigative process that led detectives back to Allen 5.5 years after he first came forward. When a year down the road you find out, oops, we just found out he was there at the time and he is involved. So year and a half. Okay, this is very telling right here. So we're going to go through this. So you have to add that back to your investigation. It's almost like restarting the whole thing again, said retired IMPD homicide detective Steve DeBoard. And I'm sure the investigators in Delphi would say the same thing. Okay, so he says, when you're a year down the road, you find out, oops, what does he mean by a year down the road? 2019 presser would have been, oh, maybe he's saying they spent a whole year, going down the wrong path, and then started to finally start looking in the right direction. I don't know what that means, honestly. Though the FBI devoted substantial resources to the first year of the investigation, it was the U.S. Marshal Service that was present on the stage, and with its agents ringing the sanctuary of the church where the press briefing was held on October 31st when officials confirmed Allen's arrest. I mean, I can't be sure, but I'm pretty sure that the 2019 presser was directed at this man. And they had nothing to pressure their star witness, which was Kagan Klein. They had nothing. That was their only connection to him. Angela Walker says, isn't R.A. a fairly small guy? How could he move the bodies along without leaving signs? Maybe he only moved one. I have a feeling he only moved one. The other one, I think he chased. That's just my opinion. All right. And here is the actual transport order that was recently submitted for Richard Allen. Let's take a look at that. Almost forgot I had this. Okay, so it looks like the order was issued on the 15th. And Andrew Joseph Baldwin and Bradley Rossi, Nicholas Charles McClelland. So you got the prosecutor and both attorneys, right? And these are the guys who will be facing each other in court. And then you got the judge, Francis Gall. And right here it says transport order entered on 11/16/2022 by those three gentlemen, all agreeing. And if you see here, the hearing is set for 9 a.m. on the 22nd. So we will be going live for that. I'm not going to go live at the beginning. 1 hour from that time, I will be live. And we're going to try to figure out what's going on as it kind of unfolds. Try to do our best to make sense of it all. Thanks, Tom. Tom says, I can't see Ron Logan involved at all. I could see the killer possibly dropping evidence on and around the Ron Logan property. Yeah, I don't see him involved. The only way I can see him involved is like something after the fact. Like, hey, Ron, I did this. I need you to do this for me. Oh, anything for you, friend. But I don't see any evidence for that. I'm just saying, if there is a connection, I think it would be something along those lines. But that goes for anybody even that lives near that bridge, not just Ron Logan. Anybody that's right in that direct area. In some way, right? I don't know about Logan, but Kagan, I think, is definitely involved. Because we know he's the reason they were searching in the Wabash River. You're not going to waste all that time and lie and not get charged with anything. Seems like a serious crime, especially considering everything else, Yep. No, I'm not going to go there, but I'm definitely going to be covering any news related to it. I'm hoping that all the news will break about an hour after the hearing, because I got about 2 hours I can hang out and stream. Yeah, Frank, and I'm going to try to get Frank on the line. I need to shoot him an email. I don't know if he's still part of the live stream. Yeah, it'd be nice to see that full video. I wonder if you can kind of make out who's on that bridge a little better. I'm just curious. I doubt it. I don't think so, but I'm just curious. Holy shit, Angela. A serial killer worked for me for over 2 years, but he had not killed prior to that time that anyone knew of. He was a perfect employee, so what the hell do I know? Crazy. Thank you, Teresita. Yeah, I'll see you on Tuesday. So I'm going to do my best to cover all that information, because I'm just as curious as you guys, honestly. All right. So let's take a look at these strange, these are some of the strange posts I found online. Okay, and this one was from 4chan. I'm just so random. Just because there was a video of Richard on the train tracks doesn't mean he did it. The cops are smart enough to know this and have probably interrogated him already. It was a dead end. Either that or he has connections. It was probably someone from out of town. Who knows, though? See, they're talking about Richard Allen on the train tracks. Doesn't mean he did it. Like, how'd they know it was Richard? 2020, February 23rd. Very strange. Sure, shoot me an email. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to record, but what I would really like is to either get a phone call from you, Frank, if you're watching this. I'm gonna shoot you an email if you're not, either way, but I just want to get a phone call and kind of ask him what he's seeing. And maybe he can log on with his phone and we can get some video outside of the courtroom. Or maybe even just a description of what's kind of going on. What did Richard Allen look like? What was his demeanor? What was going on in and around the courtroom? Maybe, but he also says either that or he has connections. Yeah, maybe he does have connections. He's like, he has connections. So that's what I'm saying. What if those are the tentacles? Like somebody just maybe hiding, maybe helped to hide him somewhat. You know, a little nudge on the desk. Oop, there goes Richard Allen's little name, right into the trash can or something. No, I'm not talking about that Richard. There's two Richards. There's another Richard who was actually in prison for killing two kids when he was a young adult. He spent like 20 to 30 years in prison for it. He was released, and then I think like the first year he was released, committed a sexual assault against somebody, and then was released again, and then forgot to register as a sex offender. And they went on a manhunt for him, and they finally found him. I think they locked him up, released him, and he was free around the time of the murders. And his name was Richard. That much I do know. But I know the other guy you're referring to as well. I think he was even on the news. Wow, that's a good question. Rhonda True says, I wonder if his family will be there. I seriously doubt it. I don't think they're going to go anywhere near that guy. Like, how do they even get into town? If you see them in a stoplight next to you, somebody can just start yelling at them, like, "Oh my," flipping them the bird. Maybe we're talking about the same Richard. I'm not sure. I don't think this guy was homeless though. Joseph says Richard will more than likely not even be there the 22nd. No, he is going to be there. We just read an article, watched a news report, and saw his the release information. He may not be at the actual hearing, but he's going to be in the building somewhere or nearby. Yeah, I think somebody said New Mexico or something. But I mean, you can have a VPN that says you're from anywhere. It's just like a forum. It's kinda raunchy, I don't recommend it, really. It's kinda vile, actually. Yeah, it's crazy. Alright, and here's, something I'm not exactly sure which Facebook group it is, but it's some Delphi group on Facebook, and apparently somebody by the name of Rick Allen, last name Hill, that was his Facebook name. But he came back and deleted all of his comments, but you can see his name mentioned in the responses by this John Brainerd. One of the responses by John was Rick Allen Hill. I know, but I'm speaking from years of recording experience. So it sounds like he's having an argument with somebody who seems to be an expert, but nobody's more of an expert than Rick Allen, right? In those matters, anyway. Yeah, what a strange name, Rick Allen Hill. Then again, it could just be a coincidence. I don't know. Very strange. All right. That's all the updated information I had for you on Delphi. Let's go ahead and get into the Jorden Sopher information. This is just an overview. It's not a deep dive. I've only really spent um, some time yesterday and all this morning kind of gathering information, the facts around the case. I'll give you my initial thoughts and theories just from, this information right off the surface, and then we can kind of talk about it. But I plan to look into it a lot more. So let me see if I can put her image up here. Okay, now the article that I found that had the most information on the case was from True Case Files. The title of this article is Shedding Light on Missing, Unsolved, True Crime Stuff. And she lists her Instagram, excuse me, which all this is in the description as well as the link to the actual article. So let me just catch up on chat real quick. Jessica, I'm not sure, but I know once it's unsealed, law enforcement can then speak to the public about the matters. So I'm sure once it's um, unsealed, people like Doug Carter and things like that can now comment. But they should be able to grab it immediately. Oh, you're in that group, Miss Persevere? Did you ever see the guy? Rick Allen Hill? Did you ever see him commenting on anything else? I don't know, bud. I'm torn with that one. I don't know. I thought maybe it pertained to some kind of evidence that was found at the scene. Maybe there was some wood, you know. I don't know if you know anything about old barns or anything, but if you're sliding down or rubbing up against the wood, you can get slivers that just kinda shove their way into your clothing. So I don't know if there was something along those lines. Wow. Hey, what's up, Cold Truth? Good to see you. Yeah, Sean, I really doubt that they'll be going to that hearing. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. Who knows what other wackos are out there, thinking that it's in their best interest to hurt these people. People are crazy. Yeah, Lakeside, as soon as the Richard Allen information came out, I had a couple people email me and they said, Sleuth, I know you're looking around for other cases and things that could be involved or connected in some way. You need to go check out Jordan. You need to check out this case of Jorden Sopher. She's like, the death kind of correlates around the time that Allen was living near Peru. So I kept it in the back of my mind, and then other people and then a couple other creators are like, "Yeah, man, you really got to take a look at this." Yeah, and I thought it was strange because they were both found by a creek, both near Richard Allen's territory. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of similarities. Um, the way she kind of looks like Libby a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe this is if he is involved in other crimes, maybe he's attacking somebody that looks like people from his past. Somebody he's really angry with. Yeah, let's go ahead and like I said, this is going to be a quick overview. This will give you guys the basic facts, I think, to kind of start building, um, I guess, your file up on information that's collected. There's not a whole lot out there. So anything you find, I think if we can kind of come together collectively, we might be able to add to what this journalist has put together here. The name again was True Case Files. Great job. A lot of information. It reads Jorden Sopher had just recently turned 18 years old when she vanished on May 23rd, 2006. So May 23rd of 2006. The teen girl lived in Wabash, Indiana at the time of her disappearance. Jorden had spent most of her childhood in the foster system before she was adopted at the age of 16 by Robert and Linda Sopher. Okay, and there's another similarity. Libby was adopted by her grandparents. And it says here um, that Jorden Sopher was adopted at the age of 16. So we know by watching and studying these predators that they look for the broken home. They look for that troubled youth. Some more troubled than others, of course. But being adopted at the age 16 is kind of strange, really. I don't know if it's a family friend, somebody, I mean, the girl's going to be an adult in 2 years anyway. It's just strange to me. I don't know. But I mean, maybe it was something that she needed, something for her. I need to be part of a family. That same year, she dropped out of high school See I see a pattern of a lot of issues for this young person. That same year, she dropped out of high school and later began working at a local Hardee's restaurant. Okay. So she would basically be wearing like that troubled look. She may have been crossed off a couple boxes for a predator, maybe. Before she had that opportunity, hold on, and later began working at a local Hardee's restaurant. However, during the spring of 2006, Jordan told her family members that she planned to enroll in high school so that she could get a diploma. Before she had that opportunity, Jordan seemingly vanished without a trace. Months before her disappearance, Jordan moved out of her adopted parents' home and had been staying with various relatives and friends in the Wabash area. So I found that highly suspect here. We have a troubled teen, recently adopted at 16, dropping out of school, and now leaving her adopted home way before the age of 18, or near right at the age of 18. So I wonder what was going on. I wonder if she was having problems there. She was staying with her friends and coworker Aaron Harlan the weekend before her disappearance. The two reportedly saw each other around 5:15 a.m. on May 23rd, 2006, when Aaron woke up to go to her morning shift at Hardee's. Jordan told Aaron that she was not working until later that day, so she stayed behind as Aaron left for work. At a later point that morning, Jordan was dropped off at her adopted parents' house in a truck driven by Corey Bridenthal. According to Jordan's father, she spoke briefly to him in the garage before leaving the house on foot. After walking away from the house, Jordan was never seen or heard from again. Later that evening, employees at Hardee's called the Sophers to inquire about Jordan's whereabouts, as she had not shown up to her scheduled shift. This was very out of character for Jordan, so her parents immediately began to worry. They reported her missing the following day. Once the police began to investigate, they questioned both Aaron and Corey, her friend and the guy who dropped her off. Aaron told police that Jordan was not at her house when she returned from her shift at Hardee's at 10:15 that morning. However, all of Jordan's belongings, including her purse, were left behind. Corey told police that Jordan had accidentally left her cell phone in his car when he dropped her off at her parents' house that morning. He later reportedly gave her cell phone to Aaron so that she could return it to Jordan. The cell phone was later turned over to investigators, but unfortunately, it did not yield any clues. Police also questioned both Linda and Robert Sopher. Linda agreed to take a polygraph exam, which she passed, but Robert refused to take one. Many found this suspicious, but both Linda and Robert maintained that Robert took one of their foster children to the doctor shortly after Jordan left their house that morning. So he has an alibi, apparently. Jordan's case quickly grew cold. Years passed without any clues or trace of her whereabouts. Then in May 2009, nearly 3 years after Jordan's disappearance, the case had a break. A mushroom hunter at a creek in Peru, Indiana, had spotted human remains amongst a thick canopy of raspberry bushes and honeysuckle. And it's strange because mushroom hunters found Jordan Cairo. Remember? He was left in the suitcase, and a guy was out mushroom hunting. So I'm of the theory, or I'm thinking, hey, if you're out on a search, law enforcement needs to take a closer look at what these mushroom hunters are doing. Basically, if you're on a search, you need to be out there finding mushrooms. So whatever it takes, for these mushroom hunters to get out there and dig through that brush and find those mushrooms, that's what these searchers need to be doing. That's where they need to be going. Just a thought. Let's see. Dental records later confirmed that those remains belonged to Jorden Sopher. due to the deterioration of the remains, an autopsy was unable to determine the cause of death, but police still began to investigate Jordan's death as a homicide. I wonder why. It is believed that Jordan's body was in the spot where it was found ever since her disappearance. The clothes she was wearing that day were found amongst the remains. So I don't know what that means, amongst. Years have passed since the discovery of Jordan's body, yet her murder remains unsolved. There has been very little information available about the investigation, especially in more recent years. Still, anyone with information that could lead to Jordan's case being solved is encouraged to call 1-877-226-1026 to submit an anonymous tip. Okay, then I think I have a news clipping. So we'll close that. Bones, those of missing woman. Skeletal remains found last month in Miami County have been identified as a Wabash woman who had been missing for 3 years. Wabash Police Detective Scott Long says dental records have identified the remains as Jorden Sopher, who was 18 when she was last seen visiting her parents' home in Wabash. Her purse and cell phone were later found in an alley behind the Sopher's home. The cause of death has not been determined. So it sounds like the guy who dropped her off, Jordan, left her phone in his truck. He later returned it to her friend, and then her friend dropped off the phone and the purse, it sounds like, somewhere near the home. And that's suspicious. The actions of the adopted father are suspicious, and the action of the family members are suspicious. But what we've come to find out is that people are just suspicious. It's the ones who aren't suspicious that we got to keep an eye out for, which is some backwards shit for sure. But it seems to be, if we're going to learn any lessons, it's that people are naturally just very suspicious, the way they act, things that they do. And it's the people that don't act that way that you want to keep a closer eye on. All right. And I think I did find a little news clip. Let's take a look at this. See if there's anything in here that we haven't mentioned. All right, guys. That is the overview. And just to kind of give you an idea, grabbed a little clip of the map here just to put it into perspective. Okay, so they no longer live at this address, but that was where they were staying at the time of the murders, or the time of the murder. Or should I say disappearance? But if you follow Highway 24, it's going to lead you directly to Peru. And just outside of Peru is Mexico, Indiana. So, I mean, it's right there in the stomping grounds. How far from her last location where her remains found? So that's where she was last seen by her adopted father. Apparently, she went out the back gate into the alley where her purse and phone were later. Apparently, it sounds like they were dropped off. And she was found somewhere in Peru city limits near the Wabash River or one of these creeks nearby Peru. So it would make you think maybe her perpetrator lives in Peru or somewhere near Peru. Moon Crystal says, I think I came across a Reddit thread that said her boyfriend later committed suicide and confessed in a suicide note. I don't know if I misread or if that's true. I'm not sure, Moon Crystal, but I'm definitely going to follow up on that. He was one of the last people, and it sounds like she was going through a really troubled time. And I don't know enough about her relationship with her adopted father. I don't know what was going on with her friends. I don't know what was going on with this boy. But I mean, these are the last people that were in contact with them. So who knows? She could have gone and went with somebody else. Thanks, Ruckus. Rare breed. I hope they can find some DNA. But yeah, it does sound like maybe scavengers. It reminds me of the Dylan Redwine case. They didn't find like all his bones were kind of scattered over the years from scavengers, so it made it really difficult. So hopefully, as technology increases, they can possibly get a new. Well, I read an article where they did have a suspect. They didn't give any names, but they just didn't have enough information to really pursue anything further. But I guess they did have a person of interest early on. Yeah, it does sound like an abduction. Remember all these serial killers that we try to study and try to, uh, I guess, look out for or be on the lookout for those signs in other people. They always say, we just got to get them in the car. And if she just got dropped off, she's walking somewhere, maybe she's late for work, somebody offering her a ride. If she's distracted, all she's thinking about is, man, I'm never late for work. I got to get to work. And somebody's like, hey, I'm going to offer you a ride. All your problems will be solved. That's all they're thinking about. But once they get in that car, that's it. The ruse begins. The salesman starts putting in the hooks. You heard Gary Ridgway. He said he would pull out his wallet, pictures of his kids right there. The second you're in that car, it's already too late. Yeah. So next time you're out doing a search for a missing person, I want you to bring me a pound of mushrooms. If you don't bring me back a pound of mushrooms, or shit, 10 pounds of mushrooms, you didn't search good enough. So I guess we got to stop looking for the missing person and go start looking for mushrooms, and then we'll find them. Who's not being respectful, Truffles? All right, guys, we're going to close her out. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today, going over this new information. Remember, on the 22nd, we're going to be going live. So if you have any information or you want to share anything or any updates, please let me know, because I'm going to try to cover everything as it unfolds. I'm just as curious as you guys are. We'll hang out for another 5 minutes or so in the chat, okay? Shauna says, but we're taught not to go with strangers. Yeah, well, you get to a certain age and you start thinking, what do all these people know? I'm not afraid. Some people don't know until it's too late. I don't know what they look like fresh in the ground. I've always had them when they were kind of like dried out already. Vanessa says moldy. Like turds. Thank you, Elias. Yeah, Shauna, me too. So you got to build a big old chain link fence with signs all over it. Mel's like, hook me up. Actually, what's funny, in Colorado, they just legalized psychedelic mushrooms. Isn't that crazy? Honestly, I don't think they're bad for you. They're really not. I just recommend doing them amongst friends and not indoors, preferably out, like in a camping type setting. Man, it's been a long time. See you, Ruckus. Yeah, good to have you, Shauna. Thank you, Heather. You have a blessed day as well. Hey, Rain Dancer. If you guys have any information on Jorden, please leave me a comment. I'm gonna try to compile all of the information that I can and see if we can spend a little more time on this case and trying to make a connection if possible. But either way, we'll bring some more attention to it. There's nothing really online about it at all. Yeah, that sounds about right. They didn't say the Wabash River, they said a creek. So I know that in that area there's these little creeks that kind of branch out a little bit right there in Peru. Thank you, Sophia. Yep. It's always good to see you, Dawn. Hey, Melinda. Thank you.